Hi, I'm Najella.
And I'm in Gaza.
And we're from Brooklyn, New York, but we've been living abroad for 5 years now. We've been living in Europe, Asia, Latin America, but we're back home for the summer.
And this is episode 4 of our conversation series about our experiences abroad. Okay, so for today's first question, it's going to be, what was the journey getting from New York City to Bangkok?
So it is October 2019.
Yep, October 2019.
And Gaza just came back from Thailand. And then, like we said in our last video, and he came back and we kind of discussed that we were going to head to Thailand.
Yeah.
That was our next journey, leaving the USA. We decided that we were like moving there, not just like going on like a quick little one-off vacation.
Yeah.
So we had to essentially downsize everything. We didn't get a storage unit, so we had to fit everything in 2 bags each. So I had 2 bags, he had 2 bags, like a book bag and like a carry-on luggage.
Yeah. And I think we had an extra bag for electronics as well.
We had an electronic bag. So we had to downsize a lot of our stuff. We like scanned paperwork that we didn't need copies of anymore.
Yeah.
Like just completely digitally organize ourselves.
And like Najee said, we weren't sure how long it would be until we came back.
Yeah. We knew we were moving someplace, but we were like, we might not be back in the US for years.
Yeah.
Let's take everything that we could possibly need, have it with us, or have it digitally if it's important papers, and hit the road.
Yep.
It was a really tough process because we had to like get rid of some keepsakes, sell things.
Yeah, I feel like that was challenging.
Yeah, it was really challenging emotionally. Like, you need to let go and you need to purge. And for us, like, purging has been very instrumental in moving on.
Yeah.
And healing and growth.
Keeping things light.
Yeah, especially because we've lost, our fathers and just moving around a lot. We can't place that much reliance in nostalgia with physical things, but we have a few things that we do have. And even with that stuff, we had to kind of like downsize it more. And then one of the hardest parts is probably saying bye to friends and family. I don't think I fully told my mom and like my family just how long or what my move to Thailand represented. I think I made it kind of seem like it was like a quick trip. Not a quick trip, but a trip that I'll be back home, in a couple months' time. And it ended up turning out to be years. So, so within the course of like 3 weeks, we did all this.
Yeah.
Emotional goodbyes, downsizing.
Physical wrapping up of things.
Yeah, so it was a quick turnaround.
And I remember having to downsize stuff, and for some reason, the strainer just like really triggered me. Having to get rid of the strainer, I was just like bawling, and I don't know what it was. When you first move to a place, you obviously need like towels and like, knives and forks and plates and stuff like that. And when you actually get a strainer or like a can opener or like a bottle opener, like it's that second or third trip to Target really means you're getting comfortable and you're staying there. We even have a video, I think, of Najee like proclaiming like, this is the last time. Like, we're not gonna have to get rid of this stuff again. This is our last major move.
And it wasn't.
It wasn't.
This is the last time I'm moving out like this.
It's the last
I'm getting
time.
rid of stuff. The next time I'm moving into a place, that's mine and I'm staying there and I'm not doing this. Except spring cleaning.
Something specifically that I remember getting rid of that triggered me, I had like a meltdown, was this pillow that my father bought me when I was in middle school. And it was right before I went to boarding school. And I kept it with me through college, through high school, all the way into this apartment when in Gaza. It was a sleeping pillow, a really good foam sleep pillow. There was this moment where we had this bag and in Gaza was like, well, are you going to really bring this pillow with us?
Yeah.
And we kind of went back and forth and I was like, I know logically it doesn't make sense to keep this pillow. Like, why am I bringing a pillow? But I was like, I have to. And the thought of getting rid of it broke me and I started crying and he was like, okay, you can keep the pillow. Like, you're not ready to let go of the pillow. So I had my strainer moment, but it was with a pillow.
And the other thing I can remember about leaving and heading from New York City to Bangkok was the fact that I was still eating raw food. So I had just lost a ton of weight. As I mentioned before, I got over like 300 pounds at one point, or just at 300 pounds. And when I got back from the fasting retreat, I was probably like $178, $180. So the plan at the moment was to maintain eating raw for a few months and then to slowly ease myself back into eating cooked food and like a normal diet. But yeah, I just had to maintain eating raw, and that was a challenge, going from being in a tropical place to a crazy hectic city and then taking that show on the road all the way to Thailand to Bangkok. Something that I distinctly remember about the plane ride was that Najee and I had booked a window seat and I booked the aisle seat hoping that nobody would be in the middle.
Yeah.
And that was not the case. But there was this crazy guy in the middle of us.
Yeah, he was off.
And he was like chewing loud and like snoring. He was like leaning on me.
We just had crazy trouble trying to get this fingerprint thing to work, but we got it.
We eventually got to Bangkok, thankfully.
We got to Bangkok.
Safe and
and
sound.
Immigration was pretty easy.
Yeah, it was. I remember how large the airport felt. I was so nervous and anxious and excited. I looked at a bunch of like YouTube videos to try to get an idea of what the airport would be like or the immigration process.
Or worried about the SIM card, like all those different things.
Yeah, that was fun.
We wanted to be as prepared as possible. But all this to say, like moving to Thailand was very scary.
Yeah.
We were prepared, but there was still so much unknown that we had to deal with that from every step of the way, right?
Yeah. I don't think it matters, even for me personally, even if it's like a 1 month trip or if it's just a place you've never been before, traveling in general is scary. So moving with all of your stuff is like, it feels more consequential if things go wrong. It's pretty nervous.
You're just going to be out there in a foreign country alone. Question number 2. What things stood out to you in Bangkok and what did you do?
Okay, so my perfect description for Bangkok when I got there was like, it felt like New York City and Las Vegas had a baby and it was born in the tropics.
That's really good.
The city was like super high energy. There was just so many people. There was so much going on. I remember distinctly like going for my first walks in Bangkok and waiting at these lights that felt like, I don't want to even say they felt like, they were like 5 minutes wait sometimes. It was almost as if someone had put a like red light right in the middle of like Highway 95. And there were so many cars and rows of motorcycles waiting and stuff. And once the light turned, it was like, you hear all this like loud noise. So it was just a super high energy city. It felt like a place that you had access to a ton of things with all the awnings and advertisements. It definitely felt like Vegas in that regard. And I also remember it being hot. Oh my gosh, it was super hot. I remember when we got to the hotel that there was a brand of water, I think it was crystal water, but the remainder of the time in Thailand, I always felt comfortable drinking that brand of water.
It was the first water bottle.
Yeah, it was the first water bottle I saw, so I associate that brand of water with Thailand. The other challenge for me, like I mentioned before, was maintaining eating raw. So my buddy Tamir gave me a heads up about some places I could get raw food and like fruit as well. There was this fruit bar, or fruit buffet actually, in Bangkok, and I was so excited about it. I saw this couple made a YouTube video on it, and they loved it. And they had durian there, and there was a bunch of papaya. We got there, and the fruit was like trash.
Yeah, it wasn't that good.
No, it wasn't good at all.
Yeah.
I was like super let down. So I was like, I think that kind of made me a bit stressed about how am I gonna maintain eating raw? And I'm like, oh my God, I can't find fruit. You know, to basically figure out later on that you can find fruit just about anywhere in Bangkok. But that place, I was so fixated on it being.
We thought it would be the mecca of like fruit, but it wasn't.
Yeah, and it wasn't. The spot was trash. And I also went to this other place called Raw Sayana.
Yeah, it was like a raw restaurant.
I can't remember
delicious.
the name. It was really good. There was like avocado and pate. It was all raw, and the food tasted delicious. It was really good. It was the first time I had like anything that was that flavorful that I was like losing my mind. The coconut water was good too.
Coconut water.
I remember that.
Yana. A lot of options. Don't even know what to eat. About to be my first vegan, raw vegan gourmet meal.
Something that stood out to me the most, and this kind of stands out to me whenever I go to a different country. I think as like Americans or as Westerners, which is why I love traveling, is because it removes you from being the center of attention.
Yeah.
Or like removes you from thinking that the world revolves around like your culture and your community. I think the mainstream media in the US or in the Western world sometimes makes it seem as if the Western world sets the pulse for the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And it's not always the case when you travel like to Asia for me. I noticed that they have their own economy, their own commerce, they have their own world. They're not worried about us at all. And I felt that in Bangkok. I felt like there was this like massive, incredible cosmopolitan metropolis. And it had nothing to do with like politics in the US or brands from the US. Like every brand was like a Thai brand, I noticed. Or it was just
its
it was
own
Thai.
world.
It was like, you know, it was just Thai people and it was about Thailand.
That main character energy that you pick up being a New Yorker, where feeling like things revolve around you, definitely gets like shut down.
It does
when
get
you
shut
get
down.
to Asia.
Because there's so many people, and there's so many people going about their world and their business, not worried about you. Something else that stood out to me was the nightlife. There was just an overwhelming sense that like you can do anything at any time in the night.
Yeah.
Nothing ever shuts down. It felt like a playground for like adults.
It's crazy.
Suck like forever.
Doing good or bad stuff doesn't matter,
Yeah.
but it was just endless in terms of the options you could have to have fun or to eat out.
There's like food markets at midnight that are just in full swing.
Yep, full
you know,
swing.
or
But
people
just getting started.
Yeah, just getting started.
Also, we met these 2 black girls from the US. They were super cool. I forget which state they were from, but we ended up hanging out with them for a night.
We about that tuk-tuk life. Hey, that tuk-tuk life.
That tuk-tuk life.
We We rode a tuk-tuk, we went to a temple, we had some food.
Yeah, they were super cool. We were all like, oh my God, we've never
nerds,
been
yeah.
here before. So it was nice to have some familiarity. And we got to the hotel and we were like, we're not gonna go to sleep. We're gonna stay up. And we kind of like stayed up as long as we could. We went out and then we
crashed. We all
out.
crashed, all four of us.
We crashed out in the tuk-tuk.
Yeah, we were
no.
tired.
We crashed out in the cab, in the taxi on the way to a temple.
I was so tired.
Oh, also, I definitely think we should mention how much you loved the buffet when we were there.
Ooh, at the hotel.
Yeah, the hotel buffet was delicious. And Najee also couldn't get out of the pool.
Oh my God, I was the biggest kid in the pool. I actually got an ear infection.
I know.
From jumping in and out the pool so much.
I know,
it was ridiculous. That was a good introductory into the fact that in Thailand you can get very high quality stuff for affordable prices.
Yeah.
That hotel was quite cheap by US standards. Very, very cheap.
Amazing.
And it was insane.
Yeah.
Beautiful, great service, insane buffet.
Room service, poolside, the gym.
Everything.
The buffet, it was nice.
Question 3. What was the trip like from Bangkok heading south to Surat Thani?
Okay, so I'm gonna answer this one first. I do remember us being exhausted from the flight. I wanna say it was 20-something hours and we had like a connecting flight or two. It was a lot. But the last thing we wanted to do was get back on a plane. I think we were jet lagged and kind of getting reacclimated to being 12 hours on the other side of the planet. We had to get adjusted to the time zone and we just really did not want to get back on a plane. And as we said before, we were eventually moving to Koh Phangan. So the option was to catch a flight from Bangkok to Koh Samui and then to catch another ferry. But that just felt like a lot of steps. And I think we just, like I mentioned, did not want to get back on a plane. So the other option was taking a train, and I think it was...
I don't even...
Yeah, I think the details to get into the train station were a lot, or the details online weren't very clear. So we were just like, what is the easiest way and the most affordable way? And we decided to take a taxi. So
and most comfortable way.
Yeah, and the most comfortable way. Because we also had luggage, you know, we had the luggages, and we didn't really want to like lug anything to a plane. We booked a cab, and the hotel arranged it for us, which was amazing. And our cab driver was dope.
So cool.
He was super funny. But I think on the ride down from Bangkok, my brain envisioned the rest of Thailand just looking like Phangan or just looking like Samui or...
Like a small town feel?
Yeah, it felt like a small town, like Koh Lanta, Koh Phi Phi, all the different places that I saw. And I was surprised because sometimes the things that you expect show your lack of awareness going into a situation. And I'm like, the roads are regular. I feel like I'm in the States. I feel like I'm in the free. There was like a KFC. I seen a chain of this Starbucks-like cafe called Amazon Cafe. And we saw it like at every rest stop. So I think that started to slowly make me feel a little more safe or a little more secure in the fact that like, oh, things are okay. Things are familiar. They aren't too scary. And that's what stood out a lot from the ride from Bangkok all the way to Surat Thani. And I think the ride from Bangkok to Surat Thani was like 8 or 10 hours.
Right, because we left before the sun came up.
Yeah, we did. It was super early.
Really early.
Comfy ride.
We played music.
Oh yeah, we connected to his Bluetooth and we were bumping music.
I think for me, I was nervous about the whole journey. Like I covered before how my apprehension with going to a place that was less familiar to move to, like Thailand, for example. Excited, but also nervous about the system and how different it would be to like the USA.
Yeah.
So I was nervous about driving across the country, not speaking the language, with the random cab driver. You know, I looked at a lot of Locked Up Abroad and like bad stuff, unfortunately, true crime. So in my head, I was thinking of all these scenarios. But by the time we got on the highway, the light came up. He was nice. You know, he had a smoke break one time and we were able to talk to him a little bit.
Yeah.
I felt more and more comfortable. So my nervous system calmed down. I was able to settle into the moment more.
For some reason, I was nervous about cell phone service.
Thailand has the best internet speed.
Yeah, but the internet speed was insane. I'm like, there's 5G everywhere. Oh my gosh. Like, that was something
connected.
Yeah, we were connected.
Yeah.
We were like able to FaceTime if we wanted to.
Most places also have free Wi-Fi in Thailand as well, which we learned.
With the password provided to
Always.
you right there. You don't have
menu.
to like, yeah, on the menu with the QR code. That was really fun.
So basically we drove down, we got to Surat Thani, and then from Surat Thani, it was a ferry.
Yeah, the Raja
to Koh
ferry.
Phangan, the Raja ferry.
Yeah.
Don Sak.
Don Sak. Shut no fear, Don Sak.
ที่ลูกค้าจะไปท่าเรือไปพังงานตรงนี้เลยใช่ไหมใช่ก็บัตรประชาชน Have you ticket?
Ticket? No, we have to buy. We're at the ferry port, the Raja ferry port.
ส่งลูกค้าตรงไหนครับพี่ส่งลูกค้า
We out here with my man. ขอบคุณครับ
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 Cheerio. Hi, my friend. Next time. And where does it leave from?
Only 2 o'clock you can wait.
So at 2 o'clock, I go to pier number 3. Okay. Kopunka.
I remember also when we got to Surat Thani as well, seeing these like rocks coming out of the water. And my brain, I was just like, am I in Avatar? Like, it was just so,
Paradise.
it was so beautiful.
It was beautiful. I think it was my first time going on a ferry of that magnitude. I don't really remember going on a major ferry like that for hours.
No.
Maybe I did when I was younger. I don't
can't
have
remember.
any recollection.
Not a ferry that had like tons of cars and trucks.
Right.
There was a
Multiple
bunch of people,
floors,
a bunch of
so-
levels, yeah.
This is like a big deal. So that was felt like an adventure. I was like, oh, I'm like Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
Like,
Remember the convenience stores they had?
yeah,
in
there was a convenience store there serving piping, boiling hot beverages
Out of
in
plastic
very
cups.
cheap plastic cups.
I was like,
we were like, eh.
don't do it.
Yeah.
And there was that guy in the ferry who trapped me. You remember
Oh,
him?
Australian
Yeah.
dude. Maybe the last hour.
Yeah, it was like more
You
like
could enjoy the last hour.
I feel like it was an hour and a half. And he was sitting there talking to me about diving in Vietnam and Thailand
About
and Malaysia.
his life, really, and
And
how
I was
well
like,
he was doing.
oh, cool. And I was like, all right, I want to get out this conversation.
Yeah, and that was a really good introduction to how a lot of expats or foreigners abroad will behave. Like they'll meet
Yeah.
you and they start introducing their resume of accomplishments and all they're doing and how much money they have and where they've traveled.
And
that
I think he
gets
caught me
very
slipping.
annoying and pretentious.
Yeah, he caught me slipping.
We didn't know. We were like,
Yeah.
oh, someone's being nice to us, and that just kept happening. People
And I was like,
just
oh, this
showing
is
off.
Yeah,
over
this
and
is
over.
him just trying to tell me everything he has and all the places he
Yeah.
lives and his company, and I'm like, please stop it.
But that was it. We got the ferry, and then we see the sights of Koh Phangan.
Yeah, that was crazy. He's like, oh my gosh, look. All right, we should wrap it up.
Yeah.
Good job. All right, peace out. See you in the next one.